Before we get to the actual timeline of the match itself, we're going to do things a little differently this week. Since the result was kind of flagged from the moment Gloucester announced their lineup, I thought we might start off with a chat about the format of the competition. Just to explain quickly for listeners who may not know, there are 24 qualifiers to the Champions Cup. And instead of putting them into 6 pools of 4 like they did back in the day, they're sticking with the shortened version they had during COVID times with 2 pools of 12, with all teams playing just 2 opponents home and away, with the top 8 in each pool advancing to the last 16. The issue with this match is that with Gloucester having a bonus point against Bordeaux already in the bag, they could afford to send a weaker team to the RDS, knowing not only that they can still qualify for the knockouts even after a heavy defeat like this one, but it also allows them to rest players for their big Premiership trip to Leicester Tigers on Christmas Eve. I'll go to yourself first, Tom. What do you make of it all?
Yeah, this is a discussion we've had for the last couple of seasons with the new format of the Champions League, or the Champions Cup, I should say. Look, it allows, the problem I have with the format, it allows teams throw games in the pool stages and not, the problem the English teams especially had with the old format was, and for TV, there was too many they felt there was too many dead rubbers at the end of the pools of 4, that not every pool went to the death, and there was two teams that would have lost maybe 1 out of the first 4 games weren't going to try. But that problem really hasn't gone away. Like in the heart of a competitive competition, for example, the Bulls sent a fringe squad up to Exeter. They've decided we're not going to go full bore here. Obviously, Skivington and Gloucester made that decision as well. And, we know about Montpellier's exploits from last year, but there's numerous occasions. So what they've done is it's sort of created numerous dead rubbers in an important time in the competition when there shouldn't be. It's Christmas time in the Heineken Cup. It was always crunch, double Christmas, double-headed games against the main opposition in the pool. To harping back to the days when we played Clermont home and away, or Toulon were in our group, or some of the big English teams, and that's gone. Like, there was only 12,000 in the RDS, and I'm not putting it all down to that, but it was Christmas week. A traditional English team was in town. It was a cold, freezing night, we know. But the selection, as much as anything else, meant people said, you know what, feck it, I'm just going to stay at home and watch this game on TV. So it does need to change. I'm not sure where they will go from here. But you can't reward teams for throwing games, basically. And that's what it is. If you're throwing your reserve team in against one of the best club teams in Europe, and you're just going to go, we're not going to win this anyway. I'm not sure what the wider message that gives to your whole squad, saying, we're just going to throw this game anyway. Gloucester did have, the English League did have a bye week set up around this time at the start of the season, but that was filled in, I think, mainly due to what happened to Wasps and Worcester. So there is circumstances maybe that you can give them a break for. But it's if this continues, throughout the Heineken Cup for the next few years, it will have to change. You just can't keep going forward where teams put out reserve squads. Like, there was a time when you got fined for it, and Gloucester did the same against Munster, a good few years ago. And you have to put out your best team. So, but look, if the format is there for it, coaches will look at the way the whole season goes and go, well, I don't need to win in Leinster. I don't even need to get a losing bonus point. I don't even need to keep them down to 4 tries or treating less than 4 tries. I can just throw the game because I know I still have a home game to come, and I'll target the last game. So, yeah, I think definitely has to change going forward. And there's too many incidents of it happening.
Yeah, and like that home game in December used to always be in the Aviva. So imagine if that same game was in the Aviva, and it would have looked a lot worse with 12,000 there. What do you think of it all, Nathan?
Well, I think it comes back to a few things. I mean, you're right there, Tom, with the buys. George Skivington after the game, that's what he said. He said, "Look, we haven't had ours yet because the Worcester Wasp stuff, and we've got, our buys coming up. So we need to figure out how we rest our players, etc." And I didn't get a chance to look at the schedule to see exactly what he was saying, how that fitted in with the schedule, but he just said, "This is the only chance I've got." It was put to him. It said, "Look, Montpellier came here last year, put out a C team, shipped however many points they did, and still got to a quarter final." He said, hand on heart, that didn't factor into his thinking. But put it this way, it doesn't not factor. You might not be a primary concern, but it's not not there at the same time. I think you made a really good point in that it's just kicked the can up the road in terms of there were dead rubbers after Christmas when your Gloucesters or whatever were knocked out of Europe, and they said, right, we're not going to go for it. But now that's an issue earlier on in the campaign. I mean, the old format still is going to lead to dead rubbers. Maybe having those dead rubbers not this side of Christmas is the lesser of the two evils. But there's always the bigger issue here is there's always going to be dead rubbers whenever there's different attitudes because of the different competitiveness of the different leagues. And that's just, I don't see a solution to that, because the solution is either you try and get a cultural shift in French and in English rugby, which isn't going to happen, or you make the URC insanely competitive, which they're trying to do, but that's not going to happen for another 5, 6, 7 years, however long it is. So look, it's a problem that I think you just have to bite the bullet on one of them. And I think I probably agree with you, Tom. I'd prefer to bite the bullet and have a dead rubber after Christmas rather than, second game week before Christmas coming up with 12,000 people. And, let's be honest, how many people are going to spend €40 a ticket to watch that on Friday night when it's on RTE as well, when it's not normally on RTE? So yeah, you got to pick your lesser of evils, I think.
Yeah.
I think the latter stages of the old format of the Heineken Cup, they brought in where some of the better runners up could get into the Challenge Cup, as what happened Leinster in 2013. And I think that would be a good motivation if you had the old format to keep that going. And because the money for the Challenge Cup is as good as the Heineken Cup for the teams that are performing in it. It's decent enough. You know what I mean? It's not something to be sniffed at. So I think something like that, coupled alongside the old format, as Nathan mentioned, might be a happy medium. Having whatever the end result is, as Nathan said, having dead rubbers now is the worst case for me. I can get, if you have a pool of 6 on the 6th game where some games have some meaning in it and some games don't. As you said, that's very hard to avoid. You can't, you have that in every competition in the world, even the World Cup we've just watched over in Qatar. There was some games at the end of the pool stages that meant nothing, and that happens in sport.